And that should be part of a package with our development of clean energy. And my hope is that that my Republican friends, but also Democrats, say to themselves, let's be practical and let's do both. Let's not just do one or the other. Let's do both. Over time, I think the transition is going to be more and more clean energy, and over time, fossil fuels become less prominent in our overall energy mix. But we've got to do both.
How confident are you there'll be that kind of consensus for that double-edged approach?
I am just a eternal optimist, and so it's the right thing to do. And all I can do is just to keep on making the argument about what's right for the country, and assume that over time, people, regardless of party, regardless of their particular political positions, are going to gravitate towards the truth. Okay? I'm going to take two more. Let's see. Well, I just want to make sure that I was getting a balance here, So, look at. Go ahead, Chuck. Why is everybody moaning about time?
Man, he's too good. His question will be too precise.
Iran, we've got the news today that they're doing more of these, or trying to enhance this uranium even more. Obviously, I think Secretary Gates today in Paris was quoted as saying, basically, the dialogue seems to be over. Now the question is sanctions. Where are we on sanctions? How close is this? I know you had sort of an end-of-the-year deadline when you stood up there with Sarkozy and Brown. It's now February. How quickly is this moving along?
Well, it's moving along fairly quickly. I think that we have bent over backwards to say to the Islamic Republic of Iran that we are willing to have a constructive conversation about how they can align themselves with international norms and rules and re-enter as full members of the international community. The most obvious attempt was when we gave them an offer that said we are going to provide the conversion of some of the low-enriched uranium that they already have into the isotopes that they need for their medical research and for hospitals that would serve up to 1 million Iranian citizens. They rejected it. Although one of the difficulties in dealing with Iran over the last several months is it's not always clear who's speaking on behalf of the government, and we get a lot of different mixed signals. But what's clear is that they have not said yes to an agreement that Russia, China, Germany, France, Great Britain, and the United States all said was a good deal, and that the director of the IAEA said was the right thing to do and that Iran should accept. That indicates to us that despite their posturing that their nuclear power is only for civilian use, that they, in fact, continue to pursue a course that would lead to weaponization. And that is not acceptable to the international community, not just to the United States. So what we've said from the start was we're moving on dual tracks. If you want to accept the kinds of agreements with the international community that lead you down a path of being a member of good standing, then we welcome you.
Haven't they
if not,
though? I mean, by deciding to do what they did. With
I'm getting to that. Okay. And if not, then the next step is sanctions. They have made their choice so far, although the door is still open. And what we are going to be working on over the next several weeks is developing a significant regime of sanctions that will indicate to them how isolated they are from the international community as a whole.
What do you mean by regime
Well,
sanction?
Meaning that there's going to be
Some will be UN and some will be...
we are going to be looking at a variety of ways in which countries indicate to Iran that their approach is unacceptable, and the UN will be one aspect of that broader effort.
China will be there?
Well, we are confident right now that the international community is unified around Iran's misbehavior in this area. How China operates at the Security Council as we pursue sanctions is something that we're going to have to see. One thing I'm pleased about is to see how forward-leaning the Russians have been on this issue. I think they clearly have seen that Iran hasn't been serious about solving what is a solvable dispute between Iran and the international community. All right, I'm going to make this last question, and I'll take somebody from the back. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. It's been a while. On health care, Republicans are asking whether the February 25th session will include economists and public interest groups and people supporting your side, or will it just be the members of Congress? And on Anthem Blue Cross, do you have the authority to go in and tell a private company they can't charge that? How will you stop them?
Well, I don't have the authority, as I understand it. I can't simply issue an executive order lowering everybody's rates. If I could, I would have done that already and saved myself a lot of grief on Capitol Hill. That's why reform is so important. That's why the status quo is unacceptable. But there is no shortcut in dealing with this issue. I know the American people get frustrated in debating something like health care because you get a whole bunch of different claims being made by different groups and different interests. It is a big, complicated, tough issue. But what is also true is that without some action on the part of Congress, it is very unlikely that we see any improvement over the current trajectory. And the current trajectory is premiums keep on going up 10, 15, 20, 30%. The current trajectory is more and more people are losing health care. I don't know if people noted, because during the health care debate, everybody was saying the president's trying to take over, a government to take over with health care. I don't know if anybody noticed that for the first time this year, you saw more people getting health care from government than you did from the private sector.